For nearly 3 decades, she was known by a nickname. Not a name, not a story, just a tattoo. A bitten peach. She was Peaches, Gilgo Beach Jane Doe number 3. Today, the silence has been broken. A Florida man has been arrested and charged with murder in the 1997 killing of Tanya Denise Jackson, the unidentified Gilgo Beach victim known as Peaches. Andrew Dykes, 66, an insurance processor living outside Tampa, Florida, was indicted Wednesday by Nassau County Grand Jury on a charge of murder. According to court records, Dykes was arrested approximately 3 hours after the indictment was handed down. He was held at the Hillsborough County Jail on a fugitive warrant from New York, where he made his initial court appearance the following day. Dykes has now waived the right to an extradition hearing and is expected to be transported to Nassau County next week, where he will be formally arraigned on the murder charge. At this time, no motive has been disclosed by prosecutors or law enforcement. Before she was Peaches, she was Tanya Denise Jackson. Tanya was a Persian Gulf War veteran, originally from Mobile, Alabama. She later worked as a medical assistant and was raising a young daughter as a single mother. On June 28, 1997, her body was discovered in a wooded section of Hempstead Lake State Park in Lakeview, Nassau County. She had been placed inside a green Rubbermaid container and discarded in the woods, found by a man attending a fishing clinic with his young daughter. At the time, Nassau County police had no identification for her. Investigators were left with just 2 clues: an abdominal scar believed to be from a cesarean section, a tattoo of a bitten peach on her chest, and that tattoo would become the only name the public knew her by for decades. Around the same period, Tanya's toddler daughter, Tatiana Marie Dykes, was also killed. Her remains were discovered years later in April 2011 along Ocean Parkway, near Gilgo Beach in Suffolk County. Mother and child were found within miles of each other in neighboring counties, but separated by years of investigation and unanswered questions. It's also important to note that Valerie Mack, who is a confirmed Gilgo Beach victim, was found within under a mile of Tatiana Marie Dykes, which is a huge coincidence and has a lot of people questioning how many people are using Ocean Parkway as a dumping ground for their murder victims. Texas Department of Health records show that Tatiana was born March 17, 1995, to Tanya Jackson and Andrew Dykes. At the time of Tatiana's birth, both parents were serving in the U.S. Army, both were living in Texas, and there was a documented paternity suit confirming Andrew Dykes as Tatiana's father. Tanya left the Army shortly before giving birth, and records indicate that Andrew Dykes was married at the time. It remains unclear whether his wife knew about Tanya or that Tatiana was his child. Andrew and his wife have 2 children together. She is not a suspect, and authorities have not suggested otherwise. In 1995, Tanya relocated to Brooklyn, New York, where records link her to 3 addresses. While the precise timeline remains unclear, one address appears near Verrazano Bridge in military housing adjacent to an Army base and VA hospital. That property was listed under Andrew Dykes' wife and managed by a military housing company. A second address places Tanya in Crown Heights. Her final known address was in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. This East Flatbush address is believed to be the last location associated with Tanya before her disappearance. For more than 25 years, Tanya and Tatiana remained unidentified. In 2022, the FBI announced that genetic genealogy linked the victims to family members in Mobile, Alabama, where Tanya had been raised. That breakthrough led to their formal identification, eventually to the indictment of Andrew Dykes. Earlier this year, both mother and daughter were buried together at the Alabama State Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Spanish Fork, finally reunited after decades apart. Andrew Dykes is expected to be returned to New York next week for arraignment in Nassau County. He is the only individual charged. No motive has been made public. Prosecutors have not outlined the evidence that led to the indictment, and the investigation remains active. Authorities have not publicly stated whether this case is connected to other Long Island serial killer victims. For nearly 30 years, Tanya Denise Jackson was known by a symbol, not a name. But she was a veteran, a medical professional, and a mother whose life mattered. As the legal process unfolds, many questions remain unanswered. But one truth is now clear: Tanya and Tatiana are no longer nameless. Justice, long delayed, may finally be within reach. Thank you for watching, and if you found this report informative, please consider subscribing and staying engaged as this story continues to unfold.